Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. My name is Andy Davis. I'm the project lead for the Supply Chain Transition Programme, which is a support programme for SME manufacturing businesses in the West Midlands Investment Zone, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that programme a little bit later on in our webinar. So our topic for this morning's webinar is Understanding the West Midlands Investment Zone. It's a strategic briefing for you. We'll start with a look at the investment zone, its ambitions, and how it will help support businesses across the region over the coming years. This will be followed by an in-depth look at the 3 investment zone sites in Coventry and Warwick, in Wolverhampton and in Birmingham. And we'll then have a chance for questions to the presenters. So any questions that you have about the presentations you hear can be put into the chat, and we'll work through those later on in the webinar. We'll close with a brief look at one of the business support programs available for SMEs, which is the Supply Chain Transition Program that I lead. So I'll take you through the key points of that and how manufacturing SMEs can get involved. So before we begin properly, just a little bit of housekeeping. So just to run through. The first thing to say is that today's webinar is being recorded and the recording will be shared with attendees afterwards. So you will get access to all of the presentation slides that you see being presented this morning. All attendees are on mute, and that's to ensure the best possible audio quality for you. And if you have any questions during the session, please submit them using the chat function. And we'll do our best to answer as many of those questions at the end of the webinar. If you experience any technical difficulties, please try refreshing your browser and rejoining the webinar. And by participating in this webinar, you acknowledge that it is being recorded. And then finally, just a reminder that we just kindly ask that you refrain from sharing any confidential or sensitive information in the chat. So I hope you enjoyed today's session. We're due to run for about 90 minutes, so we'll be finished by 11:30. But to begin with, we're going to take a deep dive into the West Midlands Investment Zone. We were due to be joined today by Steve Bowyer, head of the West Midlands Investment Zone, but unfortunately Steve is unable to join us. So his colleague, Ruqaiya Malik, who's Programme Manager for the West Midlands Investment Zone, has kindly stepped in to present this session. So Ruqaiya, thank you for joining us. And if you could turn on your camera and microphone and share your slides, and I'll hand over to you, Ruqaiya.
Good morning, and thank you, Andy. That was a great introduction. So hello, everyone. Thank you again, Kat, for the slides. So I am Ruqaiya Malik. I am the Programme Manager for the West Midlands Investment Zone, working alongside 2 colleagues, and as Andy mentioned, Steve Bowyer, who's the Head of Investment Zone, and colleague Kieran Bolton, who is the Programme Officer. What I plan to do today is give an overview of what the investment zone is, and I suppose a little bit of history, because it's always good to understand how we came about investment zones, how we came about the 3 sites, and what regional programs we have developed over the last couple of years. So next slide, please. I think it's always a very good place to start is governance. Sorry. Governance is, on this particular program, is really robust, and that in itself speaks volumes, because there are no other programs within the investment zone, West Midlands Combined Authority, that has a governance structure such as this. So I'm going to start on the left-hand side. We've got here a very formal governance process, which is very political decision making. And what that means is the investment zone has its own investment zone board, whereby any decision of key decision making, large investments, large funding pots, it goes through that avenue purely because of the scrutiny behind it, just to ensure that it is compliant and we have followed governance processes. And within that left-hand side, we also make sure that we are talking to all the relevant key site areas like Birmingham Knowledge Quarter and their governance structure, Coventry and Warwick Investment Zone Board and their structure, as well as the Wolverhampton Green Innovation Corridor and their various governance structures. And that allows us to see that the investment that's going into each of these sites are still relevant and is progressing, and there are no major issues. But obviously, when we have challenges, these are very, very great pinch points to have those conversations around what the challenges are and how the West Midlands Combined Authority can support to overcome those barriers and challenges. And then just moving over to the right hand side, the middle bit is an area where it all depends on the type of activity that we want to invest in and the various avenues we need to take. But the right hand side is very much around the investment zone program team. We talk to our 3 sites in terms of what their development challenges are, how they're progressing around the projects, and also the wider economic challenges that we may have that we need to consider. Things like Wi-Fi, data, energy, all of those things we try to bring into the infrastructure. And there are regular conversations around those. Next slide, please. So having spoken about the governance structure, just looking at how did we develop the investment zone. So we've got the West Midlands Growth Plan, which is a document that we develop and design all of our programs around. I'm not going to talk through all of these bullet points, but is very much addressing those barriers and challenges within the region and how we want to use public funds to mitigate those and respond proactively to designing projects and programs that will support not only business support, but skills, housing, all of the things that the growth plan talks about. Second part, the modern industrial strategy. Well, the whole idea around investment zone is predicated from what that strategy is. It came from central government. We looked at what we wanted to do. We talked to our partners, and then we decided what the investment zone would look like. So the investment zone policy in itself is a government's most comprehensive integrated economic intervention. What it does, it offers the West Midlands capital funding to prepare key development sites and make them more attractive to investors, to encourage investors to land in our area. It also provides tax benefits, which increases the incentives for investors to inquire about and hopefully relocate to those sites. And at the moment, the Birmingham Knowledge Quarter and the Coventry Investment Zone are the 2 tax site areas, which my colleagues will go into further. And then we've also got revenue funding. And what we plan to do there is invest into local companies through programs like this one, the supply chain transition, and enrich the ecosystem for new companies to land into. And then we will also have things like equity investment and skills program, which I will go into a little bit more detail. And finally, just around the 2 sites I mentioned, Birmingham Knowledge Quarter and the Coventry and Warwick Investment Zone. These 2 sites have been able to secure business rates uplift retention for 25 years, which is up until 2049. This can be used to pump prime the infrastructure investment and also can be reinvested right across the region. And it is worth saying that we get the sites up and away up to 1.5 billion of economic investment into the region. But that's a big ambition. That is our ambition. Next slide, please. Right. So what is our focus? It is a clear economic growth focus, and what we plan to do and what we are still having done in the last couple of years, as it's a national scheme focused on combined authority areas. So there are in total 8 combined authorities areas in England and 2 in Scotland and 1 in Wales. And the idea is to identify a key primary sector. So the West Midlands drew it as broadly as possible to reflect diverse economic strengths and leverage as wide range of benefits as possible. So we focus on advanced manufacturing, and this can be through EV and battery development, green industries, health, med tech, digital and cross-sector capability. And that's only a small list. We have conversations and we will talk to our partners and just the general businesses in the region around what does advanced manufacturing mean. So it's not an exclusive list or inclusive list, but we will have those conversations. And to say West Midlands Investment Zone, it was launched in April 2024, but was designed and developed with local partners like universities and central government from March 2023. So we had about a year to design what the investment zone funding will go into and what that split would look like. And the idea, as I mentioned earlier, is to identify solutions for removing barriers that may stand in the way of enterprise and innovation within the region. Next slide, please. This slide may not mean a lot to a lot of people, but this gives you an idea what that investment opportunity is in terms of the investment zone pot. So in total, the original program's £80 million over 5 years. But it was then extended last year as part of the autumn statement to 10 years. So we've got another further £80 million from 2029 until 2034. And the opportunity to introduce new sites into the second 5 years. And we will start to design and develop the second phase of the programme in coming months so that we can have those dialogue and detailed conversations with partners. And just to say that when we had the programme at £80 million of flexible funding, what we decided to do is to take a top slice of £15 million away from the £80 million for tax incentives. And this would enable us to draw down more funding from the 2 sites, who will go into more detail about that. So the actual pot for spending is £65 million, £26 million for revenue funding, and then we've got £39 million for capital funding across the 3 sites. From 2029 until 2034, we still will be working through what that tax incentive will look like and the split across the capital and revenue programs, depending on the needs of the region and the opportunities, or the demand, I should say, and the opportunities we can provide through the investment zone. Next slide, please. So this is a bit of a flavour of what the current phase of investment zone is split by, and I'm not going to go into detail about what that split is. When the programme was being designed, there was lots of conversation with lots of stakeholders around what the revenue programme might look like and what are the needs of the community, also the region. And it was identified, actually, as a combined authority, we have already core funding around supporting level 2, level 3 qualifications. So we decided to explore the idea of level 4, level 5, and what kind of investment that would look like. So lots of work has been happening behind the scenes, design and identify where we might want to target support in the region. We talked about tax incentives and obviously the 3 sites, which we will go into more detail. Next slide, please. And not wanting to go into too much detail around these 3 sites, because we have got colleagues who will go into more details around that. But this is just an overview of what the 3 sites look like. And I should have mentioned right at the beginning, the investment zone isn't just about the 3 sites. It is a combined authority pan-region area support programme. So it does involve the 7 local authorities. The 3 sites is where we've invested the capital funding. So Birmingham Knowledge Quarter is an innovation district located in the heart of central Birmingham, and my colleague Hannah will go into more detail about this. But it spans 210 hectares, and the BKQ is a research development cluster for cutting-edge companies specialising in advanced digital technologies, engineering, health tech research, and hopefully it will create up to 22,000 jobs. Birmingham Knowledge Quarter is strategically positioned at the core of the city, and there's a lot of work happening in the Birmingham area at the moment. And what it aims to do is form a vital link between Birmingham Central Business District, Digbeth Creative Quarter, and Knightshead Sports Quarter, which are all emerging programmes that are being developed at the moment, alongside other key generation areas like the Birmingham Heart. Birmingham Knowledge Quarter will form or will be incorporated into the Mayoral Development Corporation. It's now called the East Birmingham Mayoral Development Corporation, and that is hoping to be launched in the next couple of months, and what that will look like in terms of its powers. And I won't go into much detail about the MDC. But the overview around Birmingham Knowledge Quarter is that the benefits from business rates retention and tax incentives are huge. So once these come into fruition over the next couple of years, the reinvestment plans, working with colleagues within Birmingham Knowledge Quarter, will identify where that reinvestment needs to go. And also the Birmingham Knowledge Quarter, a key aspect of it is the fact that it's a quadruple helix partnership with private, public and university sector within the local community, which is led by Aston University, Birmingham City University, Birmingham City Council, Bruntwood SciTech and the Woodbourne Group. So that's Birmingham Knowledge Quarter. I'm just going to move over on to Coventry Warwick Investment Zone. And again, another of my colleagues is on call here today who will go into greater detail around this. But just to say, it is the only UK site with planning permission for a gigafactory, and has a focus on attracting those in battery tech. Coventry and Warwick Investment Zone has the infrastructure, the scale and central location to enable full supply chain skills and logistics development. So it's a very, very exciting opportunity. And it has been in the press recently quite a lot around the closure of the airport and what the gigafactory actually means for not only just the community, but also for the region. But an overview of the Coventry Warwick Investment Zone is that the site itself straddles the border of Coventry and Warwick District. It is a site of 241 hectares made up of 4 distinct sites. So the Green Power Park, Segro Park Coventry, Segro Park Whitley South and Whitley East, of which 182 hectares are available for tax incentives and creating over 1 million square meters of new space. So again, that's a huge amount of reinvestment coming back into the region. So the focus is on development of battery technology and green advanced manufacturing, and the benefits from business rates retention and the tax incentives is phenomenal. And we will see those benefits in the coming years. The partners are Coventry City Council, the Rigby Group, Segro, Warwick District Council and Warwickshire County Council. And currently, the £23 million of investment zone capital is all about getting power into the site through the matrix networks. And finally, moving over to our third site, which is the Wolverhampton Green Innovation Corridor. So this is a £7 million investment zone capital. It is all about land remediation infrastructure. And unlike the other 2 sites, or I should say the Coventry site, it is about bringing forward infrastructure by tackling land contamination so that it's investor ready to land potential investors for development. Hopefully, we will look to create 1,750 jobs and potentially over 20,000 square meters of development opportunities. And over time, the Green Innovation Corridor will look to bring in over £100 million worth of total investment within Wolverhampton City Council. It will focus on green industries, computing and construction. And again, I've got my colleague Julian who will go into more detail around Green Innovation Corridor. So let's just focus on regional support programs for about 5 minutes or so. And I have to say, the capital programs, as much as they are exciting, it will take time for these to be developed and ready for investors, and we hope to see that happening more in the latter part of the 5-year program. But the regional programs are where the exciting messages and activities are happening. I'm not going to talk about the supply chain transition. You can see there what it's about, and Andy will talk about that more. But there are 2 other programs where lots of investment has gone into. So we've supported a program under the equity fund called the Midland Mine Forge Limited. This is a regional, Midlands regional, in fact, not just West Midlands, but it's also East Midlands, investment into supporting IP-rich companies. So the combined authority had invested £2 million as part of a wider £8 million pump priming. And it has already supported 2 spin-outs within the West Midlands region, quite a large investment for early stage R&D, and looking to invest more into other spin-outs and early stage companies within the region. And the they're doing great work in trying to do the due diligence behind the scenes, identify the companies, and also what that long-term investment will look like. And then finally, our most exciting, I believe, is taking a little while to come to into fruition, but it's starting to launch some of its work streams. So the skills development, there are 4 programs or work streams, I should say, within the skills development. And these are all about supporting core regional programs or courses, whether they're accredited or non-accredited, at level 4 and level 5. But the idea behind skills development is very much around working with employer demand. So employers are out there who have got a workforce that may not have the right level of skills. So it's about reskilling, it's about upskilling around that level 4, level 5. And this is a very technical area. And what we have found through our growth plan and our various other plans that we're trying to invest into, the region will become a high skill region, and it needs to have the right qualifications and courses to equip our individuals, whether they're employees or people coming out of the education system, with the right skills and at the right level to support those employers in that in the region and those sectors. So we've launched a job rotation program where employers will take up different types of courses for their employees to either upskill in a different area or in the area that they're working in. This is very much incentivized by the combined authority as part of the investment zone. We've also recently contracted with Pearson Education to look at a very large-scale evaluation on the region's gaps, demands, and challenges around level 4, level 5 skills, qualifications, and training. And this is exciting because this will enable myself and my colleagues within the investment zone program to think about long term for the second phase of the investment zone. Where do we want to invest that money? Where do we want to look at how the investment zone can best support the regional skills, as well as supporting employers with getting the right type of employees at the right level of skills and within the right sector, as I mentioned earlier. And finally, I'm going to stop there to not talk about investment zone anymore, but Kat will just hopefully the video works, will show you the most recent video on the investment zone, just to get a flavour of what we're about.
The West Midlands remains the place where breakthroughs begin.
Birmingham Tech Week is the biggest tech festival outside of London.
Thank you, Rakaya. Thank you for that really fantastic overview of the West Midlands Investment Zone, really helpful, really sets the scene really nicely for the next three speakers. You mentioned three colleagues are on the call. I'm going to hand over to the first of those, who's John Norton, Inward Investment Manager at Coventry City Council, who's supporting the Coventry and Warwick Investment Zone site. So John, thanks for joining us today. If you can switch on your camera and your mic, you want to share your slides and tell us about the Investment Zone site at Coventry and Warwick. Over to you, John. And you're on mute, John, the first of the day. There you go.
Apologies for that. I was up a little bit late last night, so not as sharp as I should be on a Monday morning. But good morning, everyone. Great to be able to talk to you, and specifically about the Coventry and Warwick Investment Zone. And before I start properly, I was just going to relate to some of what Rakar just said there about the establishment of investment zones, and relate a personal story. We've come a very long way and developed something which is a great opportunity across the West Midlands. And I've been in sort of in the trenches on investment zone development from day one, back in September 2022, when the Chancellor at the time, Kwasi Kwarteng, announced investment zones, and we were given 9 working days to scrabble around to come up with a concept. So that was in conjunction with then Liz Truss, which I think we can all agree was a slightly challenging time. And actually, the day we moved heaven and earth to get a proposition together, and the day we submitted that proposal was the day that Mr. Kwarteng resigned. So it all seemed a little bit mad at the time, but thankfully the government maintained it as a key strategic economic development option for the country, and we've now developed to where we are. So really exciting time, and something that's really beneficial for us here in Coventry. So Coventry and Warwick Investment Zone, Rakar has given a bit of a tease as to what it is, but I will just go through it. I'm going to go through the site and the opportunities and some of the tax incentives, and then look forward to answering some questions at the end. This is Coventry, and you can see the circle there where the investment zone site is. You can see the runway of Coventry Airport, which is the key site at the heart of the Coventry and Warwick Investment Zone. As Rakar mentioned, it's 240 hectares of development land to the south of Coventry. It actually straddles the border with Warwick District. It's got 4 main sites. The headline site at the centre is Green Power Park, former Coventry Airport site. There's also Segro Park Coventry, Segro Park Whitley South, and Whitley East. We've designed this to stimulate investment in battery manufacture, electrification, future mobility, and advanced manufacturing, all very much aligned with the government's industrial strategy, and we're using this unique opportunity to develop and stimulate investment from overseas and from UK businesses to create a cohort of like-minded businesses in what is a great opportunity. And it uses tax incentives to support that, as well as the supply chain development and skills development and R&D innovation support, which Rakar mentioned, and you'll hear a little bit more about from Andy later. In terms of the main site, then, as I mentioned, Green Power Park, it's 308 acres or 125 hectares. We have planning permission for battery manufacturing and associated activity. We've got a couple of building options. We could do a whole site build of 5.7 million square feet. Or we can do 7 units ranging from 70,000 square feet to 1.5 million square feet. Overall, we estimate that this investment will deliver 6,000 direct jobs. It'll be £2.5 billion investment. Battery manufacturing facilities are not cheap, and it's a great opportunity for the UK. And it's a great site because the UK's foremost scale-up and battery development facility, the UK Battery Industrialisation Centre, is immediately adjacent to the site. You can see it marked on the map there to the left. And yes, strategic opportunity support UK electrification. I've mentioned its alignment with the industrial strategy. And some quick updates on the site from a delivery perspective. Last month was a significant milestone for us. Runway activities ceased at the airport, which now means that we can begin to do some of the site remediation in earnest to turn that from what was a working airport with a sort of opportunity and a plan to actually being one of the foremost development sites in the country. Rakai mentioned the power. We're bringing in 50 megavolt amps of power, which will 30 megavolt amps will go live in 2027. That will rise to 50 in 2029. We're bringing that in. That's enough power to initiate first phase battery manufacturing and associated uses. And we have a further 180 MVA available via a power connection offer from National Grid, which we'll bring in line with the investor developer. And we've got I mentioned the site remediation works taking place, but those buildings will become available in 2028. And just a few images of the latest artist images and CGIs of what we're looking to deliver on site. Now, next to that, you've got Segro Park, Coventry. This gives an important large shed and logistics element. They have 3.7 million square foot of industrial and logistics space available across 9 buildings immediately to the south of Green Power Park. They can do design and build units to suit anything above 150,000 square feet, and they can be available from next year onwards. I'm going to move quickly along. So Segro Park, Whitley South, and this got planning approved for this at the start of the year. Really interesting and complementary development. 12 units, 420,000 square feet in total. Units ranging from 10,000 to 80,000 square feet. Again, industrial and logistics use, and those units can be available anytime from next year. So yeah, that works really nicely in terms of what we're looking to do in total for the site. Large scale manufacturing at Green Power Park, and then Segro Park, Coventry with logistics use, and Whitley South with smaller mid-box size units. So some great opportunities for potential investment and location from businesses in the UK and beyond. And then I just wanted to mention this is coming soon. So there's a small site located, it was part of Whitley South, but it's just over the road from that. And that has been acquired by a as yet to be formally announced advanced manufacturing company, and they want to build their UK HQ here, and they also want to turn it into a technology park and build 4 associated companies, associated buildings. So there's going to be 5 units there, ranging from 10,000 square feet to 12,500 square feet. They want to create a little advanced manufacturing tech park all of its own. It will have units with office, workshop space and parking. That's a really unique opportunity that's coming forward, and there's artist impression there. So if that's something that you think would be of interest, we can make links to the developers there. And then finally, Whitley East. This is the last site in the investment zone. It's currently pre-planning, but it's on land underutilised and surplus school playing fields just to the north of the A45, A46 units there. So we've got that site identified for employment use in the Coventry local plan, and as we build out the rest of the investment zone, it gives an additional expansion space for future activity, and there's potential on that site for up to 800,000 square feet of light industrial R&D and office facility. Now, I mentioned the tax incentives, and hopefully between us we've coordinated so only one of us talks to you about it, and I've grabbed the opportunity. But these do relate across the Birmingham Knowledge Quarter as well. And so if you did locate in the site, you'd get full business rate relief for 5 years. There's 0 stamp duty land tax relief. And you also get employer national insurance contributions are enhanced, so basically zero rated up to £25,000 pounds annual salary for 36 months per eligible employee. What does that mean? It works out in current in current value figures, it works out to be about £3,000 per eligible employee per year, so up to £9,000 total per employee. So the numbers really ramp up for that quite quickly. There is also then support for when you're building the space and when you're fitting out your operations through enhanced structures and buildings allowances and through enhanced, first year capital allowances. That's slightly more difficult to quantify. If you had an investment opportunity, you knew the size of the facility, you knew how many people you were going to employ, then we could give you, subject to confirmation of things like business rate valuations, we could give you an estimate of the value of that. The structures and buildings allowances and the national and the capital allowances are slightly more challenging because what they do, they allow you to offset profits made at the site against corporation tax. So that needs a bit more understanding of your detailed accounting and bottom line books. So that would need you to investigate further, but we can give advice on that. But just by way of example, 100,000 square foot facility with typical manufacturing employment density, we estimate to be a tax saving as such of £2.36 million in the first 5 years, and that could increase. That would increase sort of almost proportionally. 200,000 square feet, £4.7 million. So that's well worth being aware of. It's by far the best in tax incentive and financial offer of sites around in this area. So something that can really stimulate the right type of investment and support your business to embed, sustain and grow as we grow this exciting ecosystem we're looking to deliver. So that's all I'm going to talk to you about today. So thank you very much for listening to me. There are some websites there. I'm sure these slides will be circulated afterwards, but there is, working with our great colleagues at the West Midlands Growth Company, we've produced an investment zone site brochure, and there's a QR code there which will take you straight to that brochure. So please do have a look at that as well. And I thank you, and I look forward to answering questions once the other speakers have completed.
Great stuff. Thank you so much, John. And thanks for the update on Vulcan Tech Park. That sounds really exciting. And also the overview of the tax incentives. I hadn't appreciated the breadth of those. So it's really good to hear about those. As John says, we've got the Q&A session coming up after all of our speakers have spoken. So if you want to put any questions into the chat, then please feel free to do so on any of the sites that you hear this morning. So our next we have Hannah McConaughey, who's the Government Relations Manager at Aston University and one of the key partners supporting the Birmingham Knowledge Quarter. Hannah, thanks for joining us today. If you want to open your microphone and start sharing your slides, it'd be over to you.
Yep, thank you very much. Let me ping up my slides. Okay, perfect. So yes, thank you very much for having me. I'm Hannah McConaughey from Aston University. I'm Government Relations Manager, but kind of one of our key links into the Knowledge Quarter partnership. Aston University, as Rakai mentioned, is one of the lead partners within the Knowledge Quarter work. We are the Birmingham node of the West Midlands Investment Zone, and the kind of overarching aim, what we're trying to deliver is a global innovation district based in East Birmingham. So this is a map of our site. This is BKQ core, as you can see. So it covers basically the land that's around the Aston University and the Birmingham City University campuses, and then land owned by the developers in our partnership, Bruntwood SciTech, Woodbourne Group, and also Birmingham City Council. The actual kind of investment zone site is broader than this core. It spans off into Nechells and the Nechells housing area. But as we get started, we're focusing our activity in the core space where the partners already have assets and land and activity taking place. It's worth saying this map is a picture of what we hope it will look like in kind of 10, 15 years' time. So don't think if you look at this and you don't recognize any of the buildings, a lot of them don't exist yet, but it's hopefully where we will get to in the future. Like I said, so we've got 5 partners. We've got 2 university partners, Aston University, Birmingham City University, obviously Birmingham City Council as our local authority, and then 2 private developers, Woodbourne SciTech and Woodbourne Group. And we are truly committed to that quadruple helix way of working. And I think delivering an innovation district requires the bringing together of all of these partners. So we're driven by the innovation that's coming out of the universities from our research strengths. We're driven by the skills development that's comes out of the universities and also the FE colleges and the schools that we have in our locality. But we need spaces for that innovation to take place, for those businesses to grow, for those jobs to be, and that's where the private sector is really important in terms of developing the right assets for our site. Council, obviously, a really important convener, doing a lot of the kind of what happens in between the buildings. So looking at what we're looking at from a public realm point of view, a public transport point of view, a digital connectivity point of view. And then although not a kind of distinct partner in the way that the 5 of us are, the community and the civil society and local community around us is really important. So we're working with kind of local community groups, with our schools, as I said, with FE colleges, to make sure that what we are delivering in the Knowledge Quarter benefits the communities around us and also involves the communities around us. For us, the investment zone is about delivering an innovation district, but it's also partly a regeneration project for East Birmingham, and it fits within the Mayoral Development Corporation, whose mandate is to kind of really transform East Birmingham through integrated development and investment in placemaking. So having each of those 4 elements is really critical to everything that we're trying to deliver. In terms of what we mean when we say an innovation district, because I know it's a phrase that's sometimes used, but I wanted to drill down on what that means for us. So we're looking to create a place where businesses can start, they can grow, and they can scale and be successful because everything that they need is on their doorstep. We know that the Midlands has no problem starting businesses. We're very innovative, we're very entrepreneurial, but we struggle to scale those businesses. And if we can scale those businesses, we struggle to keep them either in the Midlands or in the UK at all. So we're looking to create an environment where businesses will grow, thrive, but also then stay. So some of the things that means, so it's having access to talent and the right people to start businesses in the first place, but also then to fill those roles as they grow. So you've got the skilled graduates coming out of the universities, and also opportunities by being co-located with the universities within the Knowledge Quarter to work with academic experts on the kind of real challenges that happen in a business. Routes into innovation support and funding that kind of universities are uniquely placed to access. We're looking to create lots of facilities, labs, shared spaces where that innovation can really be tested, places where, a business doesn't need to buy a whole manufacturing facility, but we can try a prototype, or we can build out, smaller versions of these things and really test the market and work with businesses on those kind of challenges. Looking at how can we have the best digital, physical and transport connectivity? So how do we make this a place where it's really easy to connect and to work? And then the high quality public realm. So each of the partners has their own kind of spaces on the site. We have our own land, we have our own buildings. And part of the role of the partnership is to look at all of the places in between the buildings. How do we make it really accessible, just a nice place to be? How do we give it its own identity so that when you arrive at Knowledge Quarter, you know that you've got here. So these are the kind of some of the things that we are working through at the moment. So in terms of the kind of opportunities that we're unlocking at the moment, there's as with the other sites, we have some designated tax sites, which with the tax incentives that I'm grateful John went through. So we have a couple of developments that we're looking to bring forward on that site. The first one is Birmingham BioCity. So this is led by Woodbourne Group, and it's creating CL2 lab spaces. The kind of first of its kind outside of London is what they're aiming for. So they're looking to bring that forward. It's co-located just on the canal. So we're looking at the public realm of how we can make that a really lovely space for businesses to want to be. At Aston, we've got a development proposition called Innovation Place. So this is, it's currently some of our large car parks, but it's one of the tax sites within the investment zone where we're looking to bring forward a kind of mixed use but innovation-led development. So innovation space, commercial space, housing, food and beverage, that whole kind of city within a city ethos. And then beyond the plans that we have for some of the specific tax sites, as a partnership at the moment, we're really looking at how do we build our brand awareness? So how do we get people to know that Knowledge Quarter is a thing? So we're looking at what activities can we do? We're looking at meanwhile spaces. So one of the things Aston is doing on our Innovation Place site at the moment, we're obviously not kind of ready to put spades in the ground. So we've built some paddle courts. So looking to activate the space, just get people over to Knowledge Quarter, get them to realise that actually it's not very far away from Birmingham city centre. It is nice and accessible. And yeah, help that to build our brand recognition. And as Rakai mentioned, we are moving into the Birmingham East Mayoral Development Corporation. So I guess at the moment, a lot of figuring out what that means, what additional benefit that will give to developers, to our tenants, to how do we kind of maximise that opportunity for us, our site, and how do we make sure that we're connected with the wider development and regeneration work happening in East Birmingham. And then at a local level, as a part of that move, we have been tasked with developing a strategic regeneration framework. So this is a kind of really detailed plan of everything that we want to deliver and how we're going to do it and how we're going to fund it. We're kind of tasked with building that out between now and the end of the year so that it's all guns blazing on that one. And then I just wanted to pick out a kind of few really practical ways that businesses can get involved with Knowledge Quarter in terms of kind of becoming a part of our ecosystem, getting involved with the Innovation District. So obviously with it being led by 2 universities, you've got access to our academic expertise in a variety of different ways. So both Aston and BCU offer kind of contract research. We offer consultancy opportunities, in various different formats if that's supportive for businesses. We both offer training, CPD, executive education, degree apprenticeships. So either for kind of starters in your business, but also if you're looking at leadership, qualities and capacity within your teams, that might be something to access. Aston's got a couple of programs that are actually starting in September, and I'll see if I can share the links to those in the chat if people want to have a look in more detail. Both Aston and BCU are really applied universities, really practical in our research. So one of the things we offer is knowledge transfer partnerships. So this is a partnership between the university and a business, typically an SME, where we would place an associate within the business to work on unlocking a specific innovation problem. These are primarily funded through Innovate UK, so there's minimal cost to businesses, and we receive a really good return of investment from the businesses to those. So that might be something to explore if you've got a kind of specific problem that you feel you could do with some external expertise to tackle. Like I said, through the universities, you've got that kind of front door access to pan-regional innovation programs. So we run Spark the Midlands, which is a preclinical accelerator for developing medtech and health tech devices. Forging Ahead is about building up capacity within the commercialization ecosystem. So if you are looking at that kind of innovation, commercialization of research and developing out your C-suite expertise, there's programs within Forging Ahead. And literally on Friday, we were part of the launch of the Local Innovation Partnership Fund, which is about unlocking the innovation capacity of businesses within the region. So there might be opportunities to partner with universities for applications to that. And we also have access to our students. So if you're looking for kind of really fresh and excited talent for businesses, we have placement opportunities, and also ways of developing student projects. So one of the things we host at Aston is Design Factory Birmingham. So this is basically a consultancy that can support with prototyping, 3D printing, brand design, gamification. But what businesses can do is develop a project, something that you want to get support for, and we have students and graduates who would work on that for you. So it's a kind of way of getting that external consultancy support, but really innovative because it's student led, but also a bit lower cost for yourself. And then finally, as a kind of physical thing, we have a couple of spaces where businesses can locate within the Knowledge Quarter. So Birmingham City University has the Steam House facility, Aston University has the Aston Business Hub. Both are kind of co-working, co-location spaces where you get access to additional support from the universities. And then Bruntwood, the private developer that already has a lot of existing square footage on Knowledge Quarter, has also office space that they're always looking to support businesses into. So that's me. That was a bit of a whistle-stop tour of kind of things, all that's happening in Knowledge Quarter and ways to get involved. Yeah, looking forward to answering any questions in a bit.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Hannah. Really helpful oversight. And we will come to the Q&A session after our final speaker. So we'll hand straight over to Julian Moore from Wolverhampton Green Innovation Corridor. And Julian is the Programme Manager at the University of Wolverhampton. Julian, if you want to turn on your microphone, and then over to you for sharing your slides.
That's brilliant. Thanks so much, Andy, and good morning to everyone. So just bear with me as I just go to sharing my slides so I can just give you a very succinct overview about the Green Innovation Corridor in Wolverhampton. Right, can someone just verify they can see the screen okay?
Yep, that's all fine, Julian.
Perfect. Yep. Okay, let me just make that a bit bigger. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to give you basically a succinct overview about the exciting program, the Green Innovation Corridor based within Wolverhampton. So I know my colleague Rakaya already sort of gave an initial overview. Hopefully by the end of this short presentation, you'll have a bit more knowledge of what we're trying to do, the vision, and basically how you can get involved. So in terms of the corridor, we are looking to really be an ambitious world-leading research-led cluster, so an established innovation district focused around green technologies. And particularly, we decided upon three key themes, which really played to some of the University of Wolverhampton's strengths. So green construction, so that's where we're looking at sort of like more modern forms of construction. We're looking at brownfield remediation, which is a massive theme across the investment zone. The green computing aspects, which really takes in sort of the energy efficiency networks, AI and cyber, which are becoming more and more important. And then in terms of green engineering, looking at the sustainable manufacturing side of things, additive materials, 3D metal printing, which again has been a real kind of key area of expertise for the University of Wolverhampton. So focusing on those three key areas, and what we're really trying to do is drive that more productive, sustainable, highly skilled, innovative industry. So this is an exciting program that aims to touch on all of those areas. And again, in terms of making this a real possibility and transforming things, it's very much based initially in terms of the first phase around the university's established ecosystem, assets and existing business base, which again, I'll go on to that a bit later on. Again, at the Springfield campus, which is a key part of the Green Innovation Corridor, we have our National Brownfield Institute that does a lot of work in terms of the construction sector and working with architects, etc. We also have the Elite Centre for Manufacturing Skills that has got a range of expertise across additive manufacturing, but also the Centre for Excellence for Shape Laser Additive Manufacturing. And also we launched our Centre for Cyber Resilience and AI. So these are additional areas of expertise that businesses, individuals can access and tap into to move this exciting program forward. It's been dependent on collaboration. So in terms of the Green Innovation Corridor, which is a joint partnership between the City of Wolverhampton Council and also the University of Wolverhampton. So we work collaboratively. You've got myself as the GIC Programme Manager for the University of Wolverhampton. There's also Paul Woodcock, who is the GIC Programme Director for the City of Wolverhampton Council. The relationship works really well because, again, late last year, the university took the second floor within the civic building within the Wolverhampton Council. So at least I'm co-located with Paul, and literally we speak every day. There's a whole range of different partners, Arcadis, and you'll hear about some of the work they've been doing around master planning, but also the important relationship we have with the West Midlands Combined Authority, the Growth Company, and also the Ministry of Housing, given that we have part funding through the Local Regeneration Fund, as well as the West Midlands Investment Zone funding as well. So in terms of the actual geography, we're really positioned in a key strategic position across Wolverhampton. So the corridor will really extend out from the city centre. And we know that across Wolverhampton, there's been so much positive things happening around regeneration, housing scheme development, and lots of transformation. We know that the area is well served in terms of transportation links as well. So we are seeing a real appetite for people that are wanting to understand more about the opportunities available through Wolverhampton and also the Green Innovation Corridor. So just giving you a bit more of a feel for that. Again, as you can see, the bottom where my cursor is the centre of Wolverhampton. It will then extend to the kind of Springfield campus, which you'll learn a bit more about. Further afield, then you've got the science park, which is the element in blue. And then we'll extend further up to the Stafford Road, up to the I-54 Business Park. So quite a fantastic area of opportunity. And we are looking at obviously strengthening the connections between all of these different areas to really sort of strengthen that overall proposition for the GIC. As I mentioned earlier, so part of it, 20 million, was secured through, it was levelling up at the time. It's now the Local Regeneration Fund. So this is focused similarly on kind of like capital expenditure. So from a university point of view, we have over around 11.04 million to focus on the work that we are doing at the Springfield campus and also the science park. As you can see on the screen, there are some additional opportunities to improve and enhance the kind of public realm connectivity, as we've heard from the previous two speakers, and also, as you look at the site at the moment, there aren't many opportunities for existing sites. So we are looking at making some strategic acquisitions to really strengthen the opportunity for businesses that do want to look at investment opportunities across the corridor. So specifically then, in terms of the West Midlands Investment Zone, we commonly refer to this as 6 Mile Green. And what this does is really acknowledge back in 1862, the attempt that was made for a hot air balloon, and it went 6 miles up basically, and that was done by Dr. James Glacier and also Henry Coxwell in a balloon called the Mammoth. So affectionately, we've kept that kind of like title. So what this is really about is 4 sites that we are looking to basically bring back into usage through remedial works. And the great thing is that they are very closely located to our Wolverhampton Science Park. So there is fantastic opportunities for developers looking at some of the individual sites, but also the greater opportunity to bring this together into a much more exciting proposition. So as you can see on the screen there, over 19,245 square meters, high quality use. What we are looking for is the right type of business, investor, owner occupier to really come in and also be fitting with the kind of ethos for what the GIC stands for. So 7 million funding, and we're looking to really do some exciting things with that funding. So a lot has been happening. So again, I actually joined the university back in 2024, but in terms of this role, I've been in that for literally coming up to a year now, and I've seen a lot of positive moves and changes over that period of time. So pre-Christmas, we received the cabinet approval from the City of Wolverhampton Council to run with the revised scheme. And then early in the new year, the West Midlands Investment Zone approval was granted for 6 Mile Green, which I've just discussed as well. Parallel to all of this, we've been working with Arcadis. So they were commissioned by the council to really look at a wider scheme development master plan, which is really, really going well. The one thing coming into role is that we didn't have was a kind of brand identity for GIC. So we launched a University of Wolverhampton student competition. So James Thomas won that, and we're now sort of developing the branding a lot further. Website, social media is to become. And again, we've seen real benefit in joining the UK Innovation Districts Group, which has provided that important, guidance, best practice. There are other innovation districts, such as Liverpool. They're 10 years later down the line, but it's been fascinating having conversations with them to see how they developed and some of the similarities between what's happening and planned for Wolverhampton. So lots of positive progress. And here's just a brief summary of some of the activities. So I mentioned the Springfield campus at the University of Wolverhampton. That's home for our School of Architecture, Computing and Engineering. So what I term as Block A will be major refurbishment, and that will basically see our School of Engineering that is currently based at Telford. Telford campus will be closing in September, but that's sort of like being relocated to Block A. And what we're hoping this will do is basically bring together an ethos around co-creation, where it will be kind of like the motorsport, automotive, EV development activities all happening from this fantastic facility. That's just some of the work that has gone on. So we had some initial demolition work a few months ago. That's now been completed. So we're now looking at sort of like the final work to make the Block A what it does do in terms of that artist's impression at the bottom. Block B, so this is home currently to our Elite Centre for Manufacturing Skills, a real fantastic track record in terms of working with industry and business. So there is some work going on at the moment to repurpose some of the conferencing facilities to turn them into metrology suites and additional areas of expertise as well. So this organisation will do a lot in terms of green materials innovation and play on its strengths around additive manufacturing. So a real track record of industry collaboration. The science park, so the element that is moving forward is a bit of an upgrade to the substation. So that will help with kind of like future proofing as we move forward in terms of those looking at solar and EV charging as part of their offering. That will make sure that we're ready to accommodate some of those aspects as well. And I think the great opportunity as we really try and embrace the kind of like a green blue infrastructure is that there are fantastic canal networks around the science park. So we are looking to really embrace all of those in terms of the kind of public realm elements which are planned for the GIC as well. As I mentioned earlier, and I won't labour on this, again, you'll have access to the slides, but there's been a lot of work done to really create a very exciting and robust master plan for the area. So Arcadis have been working on this because in terms of the GIC elements, you've got a sort of like development side in terms of the Springfield campus and the science park, but then also Brewers Yard is a kind of resi-led scheme. But we're also looking at how we can incorporate innovation elements into that because, you know, GIC is there from the kind of residents right through to the kind of major global businesses that we can work with as well. So the timescales for completion of that report is around the end of July. And that slide just shows you a bit more in terms of, you know, the areas, the Brewers Yard, how it kind of works with the Springfield campus, and then dovetailing some of the kind of wider investment plans and opportunities that we've got to achieve as well. So finishing off, the thing that really excites me and should excite you in terms of, you know, business and how you access the GIC is that we're trying to theme this around kind of like what we call 4 innovation hotspots. So the first element is around collaboration and showcasing, and that's the Brewers Yard aspect. And I mentioned about trying to incorporate some innovation elements to start telling that important story. You then move through to the Springfield campus, which is where I am today, and that's where we learn. So that's where our School of Architecture, Computing and Engineering is based, and that's where there are opportunities also in terms of enterprise. So both the university and the council are working on an initiative at the moment to look at our enterprise offering. So what that will mean is how we can support businesses from an enterprise point of view, also employability, and also we're potentially looking at accelerators being located at our Springfield campus as well. So from the learning, you go into research. So again, that's the kind of science park opportunity, and then move into the I-54 business park where you've got bigger facilities for those who want to really scale up and move their businesses forward. So that's the plan, working with those kind of like 4 innovation hotspots. Current investable opportunities. So again, this year we went to UK Reef in Leeds with a compelling proposition. So that's around the kind of Brewers Yard, as I've mentioned before, the kind of public-facing gateway into the GIC. We're looking at a kind of mix of residential-led scheme developments, which will help there. The Springfield campus, again, we have a massive 5,000 square metre area behind our National Brownfield Institute. There's also the kegging shed, so some great opportunities for businesses looking at that. You've got 6 Mile Green, the 4 areas which I mentioned earlier, which are very closely located to the Science Park. And then also the Wolverhampton Science Park. Again, for those that didn't know, there's been discussion and there is an opportunity where we're looking to actually bring on somebody who will acquire and operate the kind of science park moving forward. So lots of investable opportunities, which is fantastic news for the GIC. So as I finish off then, there are also exciting plans around a green skills hub. So this has been some work that we've been trying to do to bring together 6 FE colleges from across the region. The university are involved in that, and we're looking at basically making sure that residents and industry have access to the key green skills, not just for today, but those that will be required to really sort of strengthen industries moving forward. As I mentioned earlier, we're looking at the stronger enterprise offering, so combining the activities for the council and the university. As I said, we do have a GIC prospectus available. I think you can access that from the Invest Wolverhampton website. Our pages will be up running shortly. And then also we have further documentation because we really want to get sort of the right type of business embraced within the GIC. So there is a bit of company criteria, assessment documentation, which again we can send out because we just want to make sure that anyone that really comes into this really befits how we're trying to move forward. So that's been a very quick whistle-stop tour in terms of the GIC. I hope it's given you a bit more information. You can reach out to myself. I mentioned also my colleague Paul Woodcock, GIC Programme Director. But for now, there are more details on the Invest Wolverhampton site until we launch our website, which should be coming on stream later on this month, early August. So Andy, that really completes, I think, all of my slides. And obviously, like the others, happy to address and answer any questions later on.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Julian.
You're welcome.
Fantastic. We have got a couple of questions, so we will move on to those in a second, but probably a question to pick up something that Rakaya started with, and it may be that Rakaya wants to come back in and say something more on this, but it could be actually addressed to all 4 of our speakers, which is, so we've heard quite a lot about the 3 sites this morning specifically, but how would they work together to create a regional ecosystem rather than operate independently? I don't know if Rakaya's on, who can come back on that one, or perhaps anyone else wants to share their thoughts on that.
Am I back on?
You are. You're back on, Rakaya. Yeah, welcome back.
Sorry, Andy, you broke up a little bit. Could you just repeat that again, please?
Yeah, so we've heard a lot this morning about the 3 specific sites, but could you give us some thoughts about how the sites can work together to create a regional ecosystem rather than operate independently?
Absolutely. So our colleagues over at the West Midlands Growth Company are very much involved around the branding, the marketing, and the whole collaboration piece. And they are taking inquiries and having conversations because they are the conduit for all 3 sites to bring together that harmonious, I suppose, conversation. And where you don't have that, or you're finding that quite challenging or difficult, I certainly, or my team certainly, around to have that conversation so we can put you together with the right people. Or the 3 sites that I mentioned and who have had spending time today giving an overview of their areas, we are in daily dialogue with each of the sites. If we need to convene a discussion because there's a greater opportunity, we are very happy to do that. So I think it's a really, really flexible approach. We've got the formal route, which is through the growth company, the informal route, which is via myself and contacts within the site. So please do get in touch if you would like to have that joined up conversation.
Great, thanks, Rakaya. I don't know if any of the other speakers want to add anything on that one. If not, we'll move on. Okay, we had a question from Adam, which was, if we're about to register a new digital tech startup on Companies House, can we formally register at the Knowledge Quarter in the next few weeks? And that may be one for Rakaya or Hannah.
Yeah, I can come in. I wasn't 100% sure by what formally register meant, but certainly there are spaces in the Knowledge Quarter that are open for business. So the Aston Business Hub, we have a space in there for 100 companies, and we are really focused on that kind of digital and tech end of the spectrum, and I certainly know that we have space. So if formally register is kind of looking for a location, then we have those spaces open and ready for businesses to fall into the Knowledge Quarter. So I would recommend taking a look online. We've got the Aston Business Hub, we've got Steam House. They offer slightly different things just depending on the kind of the sectors that we're looking at. But we're definitely open and ready for businesses to come and join us. So, and if you need more information than that, then hopefully emails will be shared, and I'm happy to have a separate conversation offline.
Great, thanks, Hannah. And I think you put the link through at the end of your slides anyway, which will circulate around. So
Yes, exactly.
all of that information will be shared. That's brilliant. Another question that's come in is, how does a business support consultancy get involved in supporting the leadership and management training? Is there already a framework of approved providers? And Rakai, that was something you touched on, wasn't it, around the skills offer? Is there anything you want to add to that one?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the moment, obviously, we've got the leadership and management training via the supply chain transition. And Andy, you and your team are very well equipped to answer that question in terms of what that process is. In terms of the other work streams that are either live or coming on stream, I can certainly provide you with the contact details of the commissioning or the awarding organisation. So I mentioned job rotation, which is very much around upskilling and reskilling. That award contract has gone to Coventry City Council, and they are working with all 7 local authorities to make sure the opportunity around job rotation is available in all of the local authority areas. And again, that it is at its early stage in terms of marketing and promotion. But I'm happy to provide those contact details. And anything else that comes on stream, I think just to make it a little bit more clearer, the combined authority doesn't actually deliver anything. It commissions all of the activities. So as and when new support programs, whether it's for business support or training or skills, when they come on stream and we know who the lead organisation for delivery are, we can make that available. And one of the things I do like to do with Andy is just keep him abreast of what's happening in terms of investment zone. And I think it's crucial that we do this, and opportunities like this is incredibly invaluable, because we can think that we've had a reach across the region in terms of what activities available, but we know that message doesn't really get across to everybody. So whatever opportunities or medium we can use to amplify those messages and opportunities, we will certainly use those. But I'm sure we're not always going to get across to everybody. But like I say, my contact details will be on the slides as well. And Andy and I are always in conversation, so please do get in touch, and we can have that conversation.
Great, thanks, Rakai. And there is a question about how one of the attendees can contact you directly. So yeah, we will circulate the slides round, which has got all the contact details on. And just probably a final one for you, Rakai. So how does the investment zone differ from previous regional growth initiatives that the West Midlands has really tried to implement? Do you think there is a standout difference, something that is unique from things that we've tried to do in the past in the region?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been in the economy regeneration space for almost, well, maybe even over 30 years. And I've got to see, or I have seen, so many new ideas, programs being developed. This is so unique in that not only is it backed by the government and the fact that we have investment zone up and down the country, but what makes it unique, and I can only speak for the West Midlands region, is that we have co-designed this programme with partners like the universities, like other stakeholders, businesses, FE, HE, independent training providers, and also to look at how we address some of the gaps that our stakeholders are telling us that are in the region, and not to do this in isolation. And we keep them abreast of what's happening in terms of progress, in terms of delivery and successes. And we're in our 3rd year of the investment zone, and we are starting to see some real impact of the investment zone, whether it's capital sites or the regional programs. And we want to articulate that and share that news with the rest of the region. There is a web page, both on the combined authority web page as well as the growth company, where you can get involved, or if you want to know more, we will pick up these inquiries. So I think the difference is this is a real collaborative programme, and the fact that we have a further 5 years after 2029 is a testament to the fact that this is something that we are trying to make work. Because in the past you may have had programme funding, say, for 2 years, 3 years. I don't remember ever seeing anything from or 5 years, certainly not for 10 years. So the fact that there is investment behind this for a long time means that we can actually see some real impact. You're on mute, Andy.
Thanks. Another mute. Thanks. And just to say, obviously, with changes to come in terms of what the government's focus is likely to be on in relation to local area policy and regeneration, I think that could be quite exciting for initiatives such as the investment zone. So that can only be really helpful, really, as we really get going. Right. Is there any final questions, or I can open it up to the speakers for any final comments from any of the four of you? If not, we'll just say a huge thank you.
Sorry,
Go on, Ruqayyah.
there is a question in the chat from Aldi Mehmeti about a new startup wanting to move into Birmingham.
Yes, yeah. I was going to come on to that. And so I was going to say, Aldi, with your question, it's quite specific. So we'll contact you separately about that and find out the detail of that and look at how we can pursue that for you. So hopefully we'll get that sorted for you. But you will get a response. Excellent. Thanks, Ruqayyah, for that prompt. Kat, can you move the slides on, please? We'll move on to the last part of the webinar, which is just to give a little overview of our supply chain transition program. During Ruqayyah's presentation earlier on, she talked about some of the regional support programs that we have on offer through the investment zone. This is a program which has been set up. It's in its first full financial year of delivery, and it's really aimed at those businesses that are already operating within the region, so particularly SME manufacturing businesses, and it's to help give them support to win new orders in new growth clusters and associated supply chains as they grow into the future. It's a program that's available across the investment zone rather than just in the site specifics. And it's a really exciting program, which is going to be around for the next few years. It's really to help and support for businesses that are looking to move into aerospace, electric light vehicles and battery storage devices, modern and low carbon construction, health tech, med tech, smart energy systems, and underpinning digital capabilities. Next slide, please, Kat. It's being delivered by a consortium of regional partners who've all got regional expertise, assets and strengths, and a real strong presence within the region. So this consortium is called Supply Smarter West Midlands. It's being led by C&W Business Solutions, and our delivery partners for the programme are WMG at the University of Warwick, the MTC Manufacturing Technology Centre, and then we've also got 3 universities, so BCU, Birmingham City University, Coventry University, and the University of Wolverhampton. So 5 fantastic delivery partners based within the region who know the region inside out and who know the region's SMEs inside out as well, and are very used to working with them. Next slide, please, Kat. So the program itself comprises a number of stages. So the first stage of the program is an audit. So this will be an audit of existing capacity and capabilities within the business, find out what the business is doing, find out what the aspirations are in terms of diversification, transformation and growth, and then actually match the business up with one of the 5 delivery partners. Those delivery partners will then take the business through a series of one-to-one intensive support. This will be technical advice and guidance, access to some of the researchers and academics that are available through those partners, and access to some of the assets that those delivery partners have as well for things like testing, new product development, and some of the R&D activities. The business will then get left with an action plan, which will form the basis of the business's transition and diversification journey for the future. So a real practical, helpful guide as to what the business needs to do next in terms of its transition journey. There's also the opportunity for the business to apply for R&D grants. So we have £1.5 million available in each of the 4 years that the programme is currently operating. So up to £6 million in total, 50% match funding, but it is an opportunity for the business to actually deliver on a project which could be around process change, testing out new facilities, testing out new processes. It could be around exploration of new markets, or it could be around exploration around regulatory frameworks, accreditations, and other certifications that the business might need in terms of moving into its new market. So quite a flexible grant program offer available for SMEs through the program. And then the final element of the program is the one that's been touched on already this morning, which is the leadership and management training. And people from, or employees from the businesses, can actually go through leadership and management training up to level 4 and level 5, being delivered by 4 of the 5 delivery partners. So again, a very flexible approach to the delivery of that, which includes both a mix of face-to-face, virtual, workshop type sessions, as well as very much project-based, practical, hands-on experience as well. So a really good and flexible leadership and management offer available for the businesses going through the program as well. Next slide, please, Kat. And then the eligibility criteria. So we're looking really for SME size manufacturers across the investment zone geography. So that's the 7 Met areas within the combined authority or Warwick District Council boundary. Alternatively, we'll look at those businesses that have got significant business activity taking place within those areas and have a significant economic impact on the investment zone geography. So really regional SME size manufacturers are eligible for the programme. Next slide, please, Kat. And then the final element of the program is really the access to our key customers. So we're looking to involve key customers at all stages of the project. And these are our tier ones, our OEMs within the region, who will really be there to help us to co-design some of the R&D challenges, help to articulate to the SME business community what the needs are and what the requirements would be if the business was to move into a new growth sector at a company level. It will also be about helping to specify the future skill needs for the workforces and also some of those accreditations that are needed by the suppliers, but also help to inform the customer expectations and the cultures needed if a business is looking to move into those future supply chains. They will also act for us as a bit of champions and also join us to shape the future for the program for the longer term. Of one of the businesses that's been through the program already, just to give you a flavour of what the program looks like in terms of its practical delivery. So this is a business that was based in Warwick District. Its current sector is in automotive manufacturing. What it wants to do is look at developing new products, overcome some of the technical challenges to move into the smart energy systems cluster. So what we've done is work with the business. We've partnered them up with the University of Wolverhampton, and they've provided the one-to-one technical support and guidance to the business. They've left them with their action plan about what materials and equipment are needed for the future and what that transition journey could look like for that business moving into that new sector. So a really practical example of a business that's now looking at embarking on that transition journey from traditional automotive manufacturing into the new smart energy systems and being partnered up with one of our delivery partners. So finally, Kat, if you can move on to the final slide, which is our general QR code. If you want to scan that for any further details about the program, you can find out more at supplychains@cwgrowthhub.co.uk about the supply chain transition program. And just to say a huge thank you to all of our speakers today. So to Rakaya, Hannah, John, and to Julian for their presentations. We will circulate all of the slides and the presentation material around to everyone who's attended today. So you'll have access to all of the material that you've heard about from the site-specific investment zone areas through to the overarching and overall program overview that we're looking to deliver through the investment zone. Hope you found it really useful. We'll circulate those slides. So just to say thank you all for joining and enjoy the rest of your day. So thank you.